In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Clone Commando Evolution set for the Legacy Collection. This was one of the very last Evolutions 3-packs that was released around 2009, I think towards the end of 2009 more specifically. So you had this set, the Imperial Pilot Legacy 2-pack, and then you had the Rebel Pilot Legacy Part 3-pack. And all those were Walmart exclusives, I'm pretty sure, back in 2009. I do have the Imperial Pilot Legacy Pack and the Rebel Legacy Pack as well, and I'll be sure to review those at some point. But for now, we'll take a look at this hidden gem of an evolution set that, to be honest, I didn't even really knew this was, or I didn't even know this existed back in 2009. I didn't really discover it until years later. I never saw it at retail. I saw plenty of the Rebel Pilot Pack and the Imperial Pilot Pack, and I even got the Imperial Pilot Pack on clearance at Walmart back in 2009 or 10, somewhere in that range. I ended up paying only about $10 or $15 for that set, which, looking at it now, it's like, whoa, 3 action figures for only about $15? Not too bad of a deal. So I imagine between those 3 packs, this one was probably the most highly sought after one of it. Even though these are mostly repaints, there's a whole lot of newness about them where I would say you have a strong argument to make that these are basically all new action figures. So here we have ARC Trooper Alpha, then Republic Commando Feast Karada, and then Storm Commando. And all 3 are reutilizing existing parts. There are some updates between all 3 of them compared to their predecessors, basically. And we'll go into each one here in a little bit. So I ended up getting this set on eBay on October 6th of 2017. And the reason why I recall that day is I went to a concert that day, and then I came home, and then sure enough, I ended up receiving it in the mail. So it was a pretty good day all around. At the time, I went to go see the metal band Saxon, if you've heard of them. If you know Iron Maiden, it's kind of in the same league as them. Unfortunately, they didn't make it quite as big outside of Britain as Maiden did. But anyways, it was a good day all around. So go to a concert, come home, open this up, and pretty good pack. And I think I only paid $50 or $60 in free shipping for it, which, yes, that's a little pricey for a 3-pack of action figures, but after I got it in hand and taking a look at all 3 of these, I'm glad I did it. I'm a big fan of the Storm Commandos. It's always nice to get some more Republic Commandos, especially a variant like this. Usually it's always Delta Squad or just a plain white one. Here we have an actual unique character. And then for ARC Trooper Alpha here, so interesting story about him is he was originally supposed to be in the place of Captain Rex in the Dave Filoni Clone Wars series. It was supposed to be Anakin, Ahsoka, and Alpha. And then last minute they decided to scrap that idea altogether because whether it was Dave Filoni or someone else making decisions, said that there's too many A's for the main characters. And of course, Anakin, Ahsoka, Alpha, yes, 3 A's. So unfortunately, Alpha didn't get quite the fame that he probably deserved. He could have gone on to be one of the most important and beloved clone troopers in Star Wars history, quite frankly. But still, if that decision wasn't to be, perhaps we would have never got Captain Rex. Or if we did, he probably would have been in a much more limited capacity, I suppose. So to this day, Alpha is mostly relegated to the comics. Feast Karada, I do recall reading about him a little bit in the book series Republic Commando, specifically Hard Contact. That's the only Republic Commando book I actually read. I don't think he shows up in the video game, at least I don't recall seeing him. If he did show up in the Republic Commando video game, it was just a quick cameo, and it was blink and you miss. And he would not probably have had that color scheme at that point. I do know he's later on part of Omega Squad, but I know he was part of another Republic Commando squad previous to that. And then while he's in Omega Squad, he's actually the medic and the sniper between them. We do have an Omega Squad Republic Commando pack. That's part of the Republic Elite Forces set. I do have half that set, but I don't have the actual commandos that come with it. And they're all casted in black. So I have to go back and look at the history as to how Feast Grata here has this purple color scheme while the rest of them are black. Then the Storm Commando here, we did get Storm Commandos around the same time where General Vare and then basically the repainted Scout Trooper that came along with him. But this Storm Commando is a little bit different. He has a unique helmet and he has some unique legs. Other than that, he's kind of basically a straight repaint. But he does have more of a metallic look about him, and I would say that this is the definitive Storm Commando. And too bad he didn't get an individual release. I can understand between the other two, they're kind of one-kind characters, and you're not really going to army build them. But the Storm Commandos, I know there's plenty of people out there that would love to have army build them. So I'm fortunate to have 3 of them at least, but it would be nice to have like 20 of them. I would definitely invest into that. But anyways, let's just go ahead and take a closer look at all these guys. So for ARC Trooper Alpha here, I think this is the first ARC Trooper of this particular mold that I'm featuring on the channel. And I've had several of this type of mold for years now. Now, I just got Blitz in the mail recently, and I'll be doing some more ARC Trooper videos here in the near future. I have quite a few of them at this point. I think they deserve their own video. I think I have just about every variant of the ARC Trooper at this point, at least the main ones. So like I said, he is just a straight repaint of, you have this ARC Trooper here, which I'm pretty sure this is the one that came in the comic pack set with an Obi-Wan. It's one of the first comic packs. And then I brought out an ARC Trooper Commander here, which not exactly the same. This one has the holsters for the DC-17 pistols, while this one doesn't. Different comma, slightly different look, but pretty similar. But I think Alpha here is much more comparable to this one. Looks like it's the same exact thing, just in the blue paint. Yeah. But his red is a little bit unique, especially compared to this Commander here. This one has a much more deeper red, while Alpha has a much more smoother red. It's almost like a mahogany, or kind of has a brownish tint to it. But I really like this ARC Trooper mold. It's still my favorite mold to date, even compared to the TVC ones we've been getting. It's a very robust build. It's very durable. Sure, their articulation isn't the best, but I don't think that really matters. So it's a nice helmet there with the rangefinder, which is not movable. He does have yellow paint at the top of there. Then we have the pauldron here with the magazine clips there. It does have the strap here, which kind of deceiving. It's actually tucked behind his belt there, but it is a separate piece from the belt and the comma there. He does have this gauntlet here, which is attached to that pauldron. As you can see, it is removable. I still have the elastic bands around it. And I'll leave it there for now. As you can see, it just clips around his arm. And we have the comma here, which is probably one of the best looking ones that we've ever gotten for an ARC Trooper. It's very shredded, as you can see, and it has a wave to it like it's blown in the wind. And then we have these red stripes basically around his legs, which give him a distinguished look. The red is on his shoulder, a little bit of his bicep, and then on the back of his hand. So the only really new part about Alpha here is in the head sculpt, which the helmet is a little tight on him. He does have a unique clone head that I don't think I've ever really seen on any other Clone Trooper action figures before. I think they were going for a little bit of an older look for Alpha here. So you can see he has a little bit of a different expression than we're used to seeing. And he has a different hair sculpt. It looks pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised when I opened this up and saw he had a unique head sculpt. Nothing I've really ever seen before. And I can't think of any other Clone Troopers that this head sculpt is on. So perhaps it's totally unique to him. Looks pretty good. You can kind of see the Tamora Morrison resemblance there. And like I said, I think they were going for more of an older look for this clone head here, and I think they kind of captured that. So in terms of his articulation, he does have a ball joint the head, hinged shoulders and elbows, swivel wrists, swivel waist, and swivel hips, and then hinged knees and hinged ankles. In terms of weapons and accessories, he just comes with, if you count the gauntlet here, that's an accessory. And then he has the standard ARC Trooper rifle that basically came with every ARC Trooper at this time. But it is painted a little bit different. This one has a kind of a gray metallic look to it. And as you can see by this guy, you can, if you work with it, wrap it around him there. I think I did have to pop the head off in order to get it to work. And it is a very tight fit on there, but it is doable. And another accessory I think is actually for Alpha here is this communicator. I just put it in the holster for the Storm Commando though. It's usually where it stays. So something unique that the set came with. Not a whole lot to say about it. Just has some red and yellow paint in it. Still, at least Hasbro gave something different instead of just standard weapons, I guess. But that's where I usually keep it. I don't think I've ever had it in Alpha's hand, but I'm pretty sure he's labeled with having that communicator. I think it looks fine right there anyway. So yeah, there's ARC Trooper Alpha. Great character. Could have been much more popular than he's remained to this day, but still, people who know about him really love his character. Next, we'll take a look at Feast Grata here. So, like I said, nice for Hasbro to give us some unique commandos, especially named ones. The other ones, besides Delta Squad, this is the only other named Republic Commando we've gotten from Hasbro. The rest of them are just generic, or they're just labeled as Republic Commando, and that's it. So as far as the tooling is concerned with him, he's actually kind of a kit bash of the Saga Collection Republic Commando Scorch, mainly from the torso up, and then from the legs down, I'm pretty sure is borrowed from the more recent Republic Commandos. Of course, Sev here came out a little bit later, but those are new legs. This may have been the first Republic Commando actually to have the super articulated legs, and then it was carried over into the Delta Squad later on in the Shadow of the Dark Side line. So as I said, he's part of Mega Squad. He is the medic, which I guess this is why he's kind of blue in color, to signify that he is a medic of some sorts. Usually blue is a neutral color to kind of represent that, especially in Star Wars. And this is a really good sculpt. I still think it holds up nicely today. Is the light blue visor there. He does have the dots on his chest there. He does have this strap, which I know a lot of people usually put it around the leg. I think it was kind of loose, so that's why I put it around his forearm there. It stays in the place there, and I think it looks pretty good. So if you've seen my review of Scorch, you kind of know what you're getting here. It does have the backpack there with the extra arm attachment, and it does rotate. Not sure exactly what this is. It's part of the reason why I brought Sev out, is he has the same thing there. I'm not sure if it's some type of like an antenna for a communicator, or if that's like an extra magazine belt or something like that. It's a nice clean armor, which I know some people don't really like having clean armor for clones, especially Commandos every now and then. I'm glad he's got clean armor. I mean, every once in a while they're going to have clean armor. So I'm glad, instead of like the rest of Delta Squad, where it's a lot of scuffs and scrapes and dirt and all that, that get something clean, for instance, or for a change. Maybe he's been on Camino for a little bit. So in terms of his articulation here, he does have a ball joint to head. He does have swivel shoulders, which is not really a big hindrance for him. I think it's perfectly fine. But he does have hinged elbows, hinged elbows though. And then swivel wrists. Does have a joint to torso. Then swivel hips, and then hinged knees and hinged ankles. So besides the shoulders, he's pretty much all super articulated anyway. In terms of weapons and accessories, he has the standard Republic Commando rifle, which looks really good. Similar to Alpha's blaster, it's cast in a kind of grayish metallic look. And I still have the elastic band around this as well. So you can see between him and Alpha, they are getting kind of rotted. So I'll probably, here in the next few years, they'll be breaking off. But for now, I'll leave them there. Then he does have this extra strap that usually goes around his leg. Let's see here. Yeah, you could do that as well. I think that looks kind of odd, though. So I'll probably be leaving it on his forearm there. Seems to stay into place a lot better. Actually, do it this way. And I think it looks pretty good like that. And his backpack is removable, and you can take this arm extension off if you wanted to. The backpack stays in place pretty good. So another great character. I would recommend reading the Republic Commando book series if you haven't done so already. Even though I've just read the first book, it's still pretty good. Lots of good details in it, and I do know a little bit about the books that end up following it, and it seems like a pretty good series. I would love to sit down and finish that book series at some point. And then last but not least, we have the Storm Commando here, which, like I said, I think is the definitive Storm Commando. So unfortunately, these guys have not had a lot of screen time in Star Wars. I think they show up in some comics here and there. But most of the time, I think they're kind of relegated to like fan films and fan-made expansions for like Battlefront 2, for instance. In the original Battlefront 2, there is a mission where he plays the Storm Commandos and plays a character named Captain Archer, and then you basically raid Mandalorian base. I think that's one of the best depictions I've ever seen for the Storm Commandos up to this point. But like I said, they do show up in some of the comics every now and then. I think the X-Wing comics, if I recall correctly. And then, of course, General Veer is kind of like the head of the Storm Commandos. I think these guys would have been perfect in a movie or a TV series or something. Even if they had their own standalone film just called Storm Commando, and then maybe they're raiding a bunker or something. I think a lot of people really like that. So like I said, for the most part, he's a retool of the Scout Trooper slash previous Storm Commando. This one's just a straight repaint of the Scout Trooper. He has the holster there even. But this one does have new legs, as you can see. I think they look a lot better. Then he has a new helmet as well. Other than that, I think, other than the holsters, for instance, it's pretty much just all retooled. And instead of having this shiny, glossy black color, he has more of a darkish black metallic color, which looks a lot better. And that helmet looks really good. Slightly larger helmet as well. But just very nice. I like both of these. And I do have this guy along with General Veer from the comic pack they're in, reviewed on the channel, if you want to check that out. So in terms of this guy's articulation, he does have a ball joint at the head there. As you can see, it's a very good range of motion, probably one of the best I've seen for an action figure at this time. You can pretty much get him in just about any pose you really want him in. He has enough neck there to be able to rotate his neck around. Does have hinge at the shoulders and elbows, swivel forearms actually. Joint at the torso, swivel hips, and then hinge knees and hinge ankles. In terms of weapons and accessories, of course that communicator came with Alpha, or was supposed to. But he does have two unique pistols that I don't think I've ever seen on any other Star Wars action figure before. Looks like a pistol and it has a scope on it. And then we have this one here as well. They don't fit in his hands the best because these are the same hands that came with the Scout Trooper originally, so the trigger finger doesn't really fit too well around them. As you can see, he's got the two fingers there for the trigger, and this one doesn't really accommodate for that. This one's a little bit better, but still not perfect. And they each have a holster you can house them in, so you could give them a heavy weapon, kind of similar to like I did with this guy. I think he looks good with the battle droid blaster there. And he just has the pistol in his holster. You can get this guy in some nice poses. He looks really good in Imperial display. I would say this is probably one of my favorite Imperial troopers I have in my collection. Overall, he looks really good. I'm really impressed with those that shin armor as well. I imagine that would hurt a lot if he kicked someone in the face with that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I could tell you about this Evolution set here. And all these troopers look really good together. So would I recommend it for your collection? Whew. You know, it's a very expensive set, and I think it's gotten even more expensive from the time I've gotten it, which has been about 7 years almost. If you find it for a good price, yes, I would say jump on it. I know a lot of times people usually find the 3 figures in the set all loose and usually one at a time. But if you do find the set brand new and you find it for like $50 or $60, I would say it's totally worth it. Even though they're all repaints, all 3 of them, there's enough newness about them where they feel like they're all new action figures. And I think these are some of the best interpretations of their respected trooper class that we've gotten to date. This is the best Storm Commando, one of the best Republic Commandos, and then one of the best ARC Troopers. It's my personal favorite ARC Trooper mold, and I think this was probably one of the last ones that we got in that particular mold. Vizcarra, he's basically perfect. Sure, the shoulders could have a little bit better articulation, but I'm fine with it as is. I don't really have any complaints about it, and you can pretty much get them in just about all the poses that you want them in anyway. And the Storm Commando, we only got 3 variants of it to this day, between General Ver and then these 2. But this is easily the definitive one. Even if Hasbro did a straight repack of this Storm Commando today, I don't think people will be too upset about it. And I would definitely load up on several of them. But if you buy them all individually, maybe $40 each. I've seen them go for in prices, sometimes less. I have seen some people say they get a pretty good deal for one of these. So just be on the lookout for it. Overall, it's a great set. I think it was one of the best ones probably of the Evolution sets, and one of the best ways to finish out the line. Unfortunately, it a lot of the Evolution sets didn't sell very well, so I think that's what kind of led to it being discontinued. But despite that, this was one of the best ways to finish out that line. And it's a great set overall. Highly recommended. Some of the best troopers I think you can get. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. And check out the links in the description if you haven't done so already. As always, thanks for watching.